Bach, principal of the Northern Cheyenne Tribal School.
Norma Bixby, Northern Cheyenne Tribal Schools.
Ingrid Gardner, Northern Cheyenne Tribal School.
Twyla Small, Northern Cheyenne Tribal School.
Bernadette Anderson, ADI.
Michael Pivold, external evaluation.
Looks like we have a few more, but I'll give them time to introduce themselves. Also, joining is Julian Guerrero, project director for the grant, as well as Chloe Ruffles, who is taking minutes for us. Looks like we'll go ahead and head into our agenda. Thank you for joining us. Today is November 23rd, 2016. This is our third core team meeting of the second fiscal year for the Tribal Education Department's National Assembly Native Youth Community Project. If you'd like to see the meeting agenda, you can go to TEDNA.org/NYCP/meetings, and you can see the agenda there. I appreciate everybody joining us, like I had mentioned before, the day before Thanksgiving. Just going to go right into it here. The welcome, the executive director update. Quentin Romanos, are you here? I'm pretty sure he'll join us in the latter part of the meeting, so we'll just go ahead and move towards my updates. So looking at program implementation to date, once again, you can find the current Schedule B, TEDNA.org/NYCP schedules. And we're in the process of not only looking at what's been completed, what sort of progress has been made in the Schedule B, but kind of what instances or what sort of materials or activities or things have developed ever since the inception of Schedule B, and working on getting that information to you guys. I think it's also in item 3B, we also wanted to introduce and congratulate together both we have a great showing from Northern Cheyenne Tribe. I heard a lot of the Northern Cheyenne Tribal School organizations mentioned. So we have with us joining this morning Leverty Erickson, Norma Bixby, and with Ingrid Gardner, which is going to be our TEDNA NYCP Indian Education Specialist for the Northern Cheyenne Tribe. Ingrid? Oh, she might be having some audio issues there. How about Norma? Norma or Leverty? Oh,
They need to reconnect.
Yeah, I just saw that message. Twyla saying that we'll reconnect. Okay, so we'll come back to them, no problem. But just going to go down the line here until they get reconnected with us. Looking at item 3C, I wanted to share some information in regards to an upcoming College and Career Readiness Night hosted by the program in partnership with the Oklahoma Public School Resource Center and Shiner-Arapaho Tribes Department of Education. This College and Career Readiness Night is one of many that we're planning to implement not only across the program, but specific to each community site. Specifically here,
Great.
Let's turn that one down.
Hey, Julian?
Yes. Sounds like there's some echoing going on.
Yeah, we had to put it back on the phone.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
And
Okay,
the phone is not the greatest.
Yeah.
That's okay. Okay. Well, let me pause right there where I was talking about the College Career Readiness Night. And I'd like to move back to Northern Cheyenne Tribes with Ingrid Gardner. Norma, Ingrid, welcome.
Hello, yes. Thank you. I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Could you tell a little bit about yourself, a background?
Um, yes, I'm, well, for the past 3 years, I was working as a Mescalero Apache tribal archaeologist, or, before that for a few years, and then just recently, as an archaeologist. And then before that, I was working in the field of education. I have actually varied experiences, but I have a master's in special education and bachelor's in elementary education. I've worked as a tobacco prevention specialist for the tribe here, Northern Cheyenne Tribe. I've worked in various positions: economic development, environmental protection. I was working towards another master's degree in natural resource management, and so I have different experiences. Just recently, though, mainly cutting wood. I've been trying to cut wood for for my elderly mother, and yes, that's about it for me. That's my background. I've worked with youth over the years, so anyway.
Well, Ingrid and I, we had spoken late afternoon yesterday. A surprise conversation. Loverty and Ingrid both reached out to me, and I appreciated them reaching out. And Ingrid shared her excellent experience with state and federal grant. And I think that knowledge base that she brings to us will not only help us in terms of understanding how to be mindful and to be vigilant towards our program objective under this grant, but kind of shed some light on some best practices and kind of what she's seen. And I'm really thankful that things have worked out to where Ingrid is the education specialist with NCT, and I can't wait to. I know that she and both Jeffrey Forsey with Absentee Shawnee, they're in this orientation phase. Kind of, there's training needing to be done, there's introductions needing to be had, and all that I'm going to work out with both of them to kind of get them both together to get uh, matriculated into the program, but then also at the same time, hit the ground running with both Tashina Tadenapa and Anita Pasatopa with Shannon Navajo and Muskogee Creek Nation. So, welcome, Ingrid. We appreciate you, and as well as welcome all of the other Northern Cheyenne Tribal School employee staff. I think you guys attended this morning. So, kind of going back to resuming item 3C, I was just highlighting a night, a college career readiness night that's going on next Tuesday. That's November 29th. This is a CPR night. This is a chance for us to not only engage with the students for one of our student activities, but then also we will host a parent workshop in addition to OPSRC helping us by providing a meal for that night. And this CPR night will be conjoined 6th and 7th graders at both Darlington, well, from both Darlington and El Reno LEAs. And we'll be meeting at the Darlington School Gym, 4408 North Highway 81, El Reno, Oklahoma. And so Christina Tadenapa has already been doing a wide array of not only promoting this night, but also distributing this flyer, getting connected with students, getting connected with the parents, and most of all, talking about this concept that we're starting to get off the ground, referred to as the Chromebook distribution. And I'll go into that in a bit. But looking back at the agenda, item 3C, and moving into item 3D, preparing to plan for Schedule C.
Julian, excuse me a minute, is that career night, is that for the 6th through 9th grade students or just for the 7th grade?
Both 6th through 7th.
7th, oh, okay.
7th grade. Yeah, 6th through 7th, and as future CCR nights happen, we'll kind of just bring in whatever year we're at that time. So, next fiscal year when we do another CCR night, it would be both. It would be all of the 6th, 7th, and then 8th. So kind of, just try to get that cohort delineated, but at the same time, bring in the new 6th grade cohort and kind of get them to see one another, work with one another, do these activities most of all. So Tashina's been working tirelessly toward that. So that's a good question. Then thank you for that question. So moving to item 3B, the Schedule C, I can't believe it, but Schedule Bs are almost already up. And just from the initial observations that I noticed so far, I think we've done a lot in terms of making the Schedule B a more developed plan or developed document in both terms of looking at the lesson planning involved, the curriculum, the outlining of the activities, as well as looking at how we need to also remind ourselves to be vigilant of data collection and how we build those data frameworks. And the Schedule C will be, as mentioned previously, an improvement to the soon-to-be old Schedule B. And we'll be carrying over all the activities. We'll be working through and introducing ACT profile. We have a much more developed me poster activity, which Bernadette Anderson can share with us here soon during her time to talk. And there's a lot of pieces that have just been completed in terms of what the Schedule B delineated, but then also at the same time, a lot of improvements. So looking forward to Schedule C. We'll do a lot of changes to this document, and I look forward to its creation. So moving to item 3E, Chromebook acquisition and distribution. I'm pleased to announce that just yesterday, late afternoon, here at Central Office, we have received our full order of 152 Chromebooks. These Chromebooks are for each of the local sites. Specifically, they've been procured to help assist and further attain the completion of all 3 project objectives. And these Chromebooks are a participant resource. So these are property of TEDNA for the purpose of checking them out to the students to not only pull up and complete whatever activities we're sending online, but then at the same time using them during these actual pull-out sessions or during the day sessions. Anytime that the specialist is engaging with the student, we hope that that sort of meeting and interaction would include taking advantage of this Chromebook. So with that being said, the Chromebooks have been a long process, a very lengthy process, but pretty soon after this holiday weekend, I'll be working on distribution letters. One has already gone out to the Cheyenne Arapaho Tribe's student body, as well as being maintained by the CNA specialist, Tashina Tadenapa. This distribution letter includes a letter to the family talking about not only is this a Chromebook that's used for the student, this is a Chromebook that the student can check out. And we as a program are entrusting each student with this technological tool for the purpose of supporting the academic excellence, but then also completing the project and interacting with the project on a much deeper level digitally. So with that, like anything, there needs to be those the legalities in place. So this letter with with all of the Chromebook distribution agreement, the repair and replacement policy, the appropriate use of technology policy, as well as a digital citizenship and safety technology statement, are all compounded together in a single packet that are given out during this previously mentioned college and career readiness night. Looking over that, it's like any sort of technology agreement that we've all seen at the schools. It's a end user agreement where we're talking about what the student will receive. Ownership is to TEDNA. If there's any issues that need for repair or replacement, that they can call central office and we can get those arranged. Each student is limited to 2 replacements per our insurance policy that we have for these Chromebooks. Of course, the TEDNA appropriate use of technology policy, inappropriate uses are outlined, consequences, return and continued assignment policy, as well as the digital citizenship for technology. So respect yourself, respect others, protect others, and respecting intellectual property. So these students are going to be able to take advantage of this Chromebook, considering we assume that they have Wi-Fi access at the home. But if they do not have Wi-Fi access at the home, trying to come up with a way to also equip the specialist with being able to talk with the student on how we can ascertain Wi-Fi. If it's not in the home setting, maybe letting the schools be able to allow the students to use them on campus property, following their technology policies, etc. So most of that is outlined in this entire packet, as well as the signature and agreement form. Page 7 of the packet is the page where the student and the parent sign. They look over the general guidelines and so on and so forth. It's a very hefty package, but it's what's needed in order for us to make sure that we're being stewards with federal dollars being spent on these Chromebooks. So, if I were to turn on my video camera and show you what central office looks like right now, both Chloe and I are just surrounded by all these Chromebooks. We're probably 3 stacks high over here of Chromebooks, and we're excited to get these to each of the local sites. So I'm pleased to announce that that's in process. The Shine Arapaho tribes will be first distributed to, and soon, immediately thereafter, probably around Thursday or Friday of next week, we'll be shipping the second order to Northern Cheyenne tribal schools, and so on and so forth with Muskogee Creek Nation and Absentee Shawnee tribe. So just an update, things to be mindful of when a site is receiving these Chromebooks is that we're going through an inventory control process or procedure, just like any organization tags and looks at the description of equipment, taking down the serial number, looking at having a registry, an inventory of all of these items. That's what we're trying to push through right now, today, and then leading into Monday. So just to be mindful of that process is ongoing for us right now. We're trying to speed through this as fast as we can, but at the same time, we need to be mindful of our 2 CFR 200 uniform guidance. Our program is not mandated to follow 200-313 for equipment. These are computer device purchases, so technically in the new uniform guidance, they are supplies, they're not equipment. But the framework that we're going to use for our inventory control process will be as if they were equipment. We'll use that same framework to, just keep that compliance and that high quality standard for managing our technology assets. So I know that's a lot, that's a mouthful, but I needed to run through that for you guys. And just a future date to keep in mind, December 12th and December 13th, the Oklahoma Council for Indian Education will host its conference in Tulsa. Those logistics are in process, and I'll be sending information to all the specialists for their attendance if they can make it during those 2 days. So that was a lot. I'd like to take the rest of the time to go ahead and go through, move on to the next phase of our agenda, and move to item 4, core member topics and feedback. I'd first like to start with any and all tribal education department directors. Going down the line, absentee Shawnee tribe. Do we have Tricia on the line with us this morning? Okay, Cheyenne Arapaho tribes, Carrie Whitlow. Okay, and Northern Cheyenne tribe, Norma Bigsby. Norma? Okay. Muskogee Creek Nation, Courtney Josie or Mr. Greg Anderson. All right, hearing none, moving on to 4B, Dr. Michael Pavel, external evaluation.
Thank you, Julian. For everybody's update, I managed to develop a draft that would go through the line of protocol, meaning I wanted to make sure that it was reviewed by the TEDNA board president, as well as the TEDNA executive director and the project director, all three of which have provided me feedback, and I'm going to make some revisions here shortly so that the TEDNA board can be formally with this, and then after that, to be able to distribute to everyone. Everyone should be pleased to know that this past year is really, and has been, was about implementation and the expectation of accomplishing or setting the foundation for accomplishing whatever was necessary to achieve the goal and the objective is solidified. It's an exciting year that we need to look forward to, and I think that one of the things that I, as an external evaluator, wants to make sure is that there's a credible system for determining the measurable effects of the project. That's a priority. This means that we would want to have a collective effort to determine what available data is out there for each significant contributor and how those measures contribute to understanding if we're accomplishing our goal and objective. There are essentially two domains. The one is the student. The goal is that our students would be college and career readiness as measured by GPA of 2+ or better, or in a college and career readiness plan. And there are three objectives concerning academic achievement, college and career readiness planning, and creating a culture. And I want to say that those significant contributors include the Tribal Education Department and the LEAs, and then the resource partners that follow. These, of course, include ACT, ADI, the Oklahoma State Regions for Higher Education, Khan Academy, and so on, Read Write, for example. I'm just very excited to be a part of this effort in that this external evaluation is very formative in the sense that if there's any opportunity for me to be of service and supportive to this project, I welcome it. And this external evaluation's just been one facet of it. It's a pleasure working with everybody at every level. And so, Julian, thank you very much for allowing me to offer a brief comment. Please know I'd like to make myself available to any questions if that fits in your agenda. Thank you.
Well, thank you for that, Dr. Pavel. Any questions for Michael? Okay.
Julian, this is Gloria. I don't have a question, but I do have a comment.
Sure.
And I want to thank him for the draft that he allowed me to look at, and that so that you and I could look at some of the things that we would need to strengthen this upcoming year. And excellent job, Michael. I think that you really worked to catch the essence of the program that Julian has implemented and worked so hard to get off the ground. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Dr. Sly. Moving on to item 4C, Dr. D. Tadlock with Read Write Systems. Okay, and moving to 4D, Mark Williams had emailed me saying he couldn't make it, but we also have with us Bernadette Anderson. Welcome.
Good morning, everyone. Well, I just want to share a little bit about my excitement, and I'm sure Julian and the education specialists that were together last week, about the time we spent together designing and crafting this lesson plan, which turned into actually a unit plan, because as we really began to explore, if you remember or recall the handouts, the Me poster and the True Colors personality poster, we were able to actually spend time just walking through basic lesson planning and a day of just professional development about what's good in the lesson plan. But then we were able to listen to, I'm saying we, Julian and I, were able to listen to Sheena really kind of share how she had approached this Me poster activity previously, and then take a lot of her ideas that she's kind of refined, and then with the looking at what we had just went through in terms of lesson planning, looking at what we could do to really strengthen it and make it really come alive, and that's kind of what we did. And so what we actually are looking for, I don't know, Julian, I sent you an email of that, of a kind of the big discussion that we just had as it related to just Me, part of the posters. And so we actually were able to look at how the students, because these are 6th and 7th graders, will be able to look at themselves, but we've given them some lenses to look through in terms of their own learning inventory, their own study habits around active reading and questioning, exploring who they are themselves in terms of tribal affiliation, regalia, customs, things like that, personality, actually exploring who they are as a person, identifying with others as well that have things in common, and then moving from that conversation with the youth into looking at colleges. And Sheena had did a great job doing some homework on actually coming up with a vocabulary list of words. And so we were able to spend time looking at the vocabulary list and designing lessons around, introducing that whole college and career readiness part to the youth at that age, and then keeping in mind too that in the future years 3 and 4 we're adding grades, so we had to be mindful that as we move forward what that lesson looks like as it grows with the kids. And that's what we're really thinking, this whole lesson, they're growing into this college and career readiness mindset. And so our emphasis in designing the lesson really was around metacognitive, one of the personal competencies, really having them think about how do I learn. And so I just really want to try to summarize all this. I think the big things that I think you'll see the lesson probably within the next week. We'll probably, once I send it to Julian, then we'll send it, I guess you'll probably send it out for everyone to look at and provide feedback. But as we started looking at the activities and the length of time that I was going to really take in terms of the education specialist engaging the students so that they really do develop that vocabulary and they actually take time to create this poster about Me. So we basically came to the conclusion that this is going to happen between a January and May framework or time frame, because we didn't want to rush it, and they felt like they needed time to really, with that number of kids, to be able to cycle them in as needed to make sure that the posters were. The one great thing I think that we came up with at the end was that how the youth will, they've already have done the pre-baseline of these Me posters, so without any instruction. And so then they're going to have the instruction around about Me and around their personality, around college and career readiness, careers and things like that then they'll actually be able to create a rubric and be able to identify how well they did in creating this final project. So they're really taking ownership from the beginning and actually determining themselves of how much effort they will put forth in this final product. And so we're really excited. I know, because it just the ideas that they were bringing out really just jumped out and said these are the right on. This is what really kids, especially Native kids, need to know as they move into identifying a pathway. So I'll stop there.
Wow, no, that was a great summary. We appreciate that. Thank you very much. Any questions for Bernadette?
Sure, Julian. This is Michael.
Yes, go ahead, Michael.
Bernadette, I just sent you a comment. Again, that's incredible work. I want to affirm that it has contributions to offering measures to achieve Objective C, creating a culture where everyone believes that every Indian student is capable of becoming college and career ready is vital. Let me add too, that objective is the sole objective that every NYCP funded program is expected to achieve across the nation. And the degree that we're able to measure that and articulate that that's happening will set TEDNA NYCP 2015 apart from all the other programs and provide that kind of leadership for all the other NYCP programs across the nation. Great work. Let's get that recorded. Let's implement that in the evaluation report. So let's really turn that up in terms of collecting and managing and analyzing and reporting on that data, Bernadette.
Well, yeah, and let me add to and I think Tashina may have brought this up when she was sharing with that, having that baseline, basically, she has all these posters that the kids have already done. And so then once, teach this content, then the youth are going to come back, and then they're going to measure themselves on how much they've grown. And then the idea is that they're going to do this again in the next 2 years. They're going to, in terms of 8th grade, they'll have more vocabulary, they'll have more depth to the lessons. And so over the 4 years, they should be able to look at those posters and watch how they grew as well. So, not only just having the rubric, but actually having those tangible posters and watching how the kids begin to illustrate, I should say, their learning. That's going to be really cool to see. Oh, and then let me add this, Michael, because I think this may be really exciting for you too. One of the things we talked about once we wrap up, or well, I'm saying me, a part of the team, but once they wrap up at each site, that we're going to they're going to identify maybe that young person who's interested in journalism or media or something like that, and then have a few video clips of a peer-to-peer interview with questions around the introduction of their lesson, their poster, kind of explaining the roadmap that they've created on this poster, and then some questions around the impact on what they want to do and what they want to do for other Native kids, and where they actually can see themselves contributing to Indian country down the road. And so really having some provoking conversations with those older students is going to be exciting.
Provoking or profound?
Profound's good too.
That's just stunning. Great contribution. That's very exciting. Thank you very much for sharing that. Julian?
Yeah, no, appreciate that, Bernadette. When Bernadette, she spent 2 days with us. It felt like a whole week of planning. And it was. Like she said before, it was a unit plan that we walked away with. And Bernadette was able to juggle so many things in terms of understanding.
Julian?
Oh,
Julian?
Yes.
Norma has.
I have a question here. is Bernadette going to come and do a similar thing? I know we're kind of out of the way of the other ones, but it seems like what Bernadette's doing might help us kind of.
Well, you know,
some of the ideas Fred is doing. Is there going to be any time that, or is this meeting in Oklahoma, is that going to be where they can get some more training, or what?
That's a great question, because towards the tail end of that, and Bernadette can back me up on this, we were both talking about flying up there to come visit you guys in Montana and doing the same thing.
Oh, okay.
So
what is December meeting? This is Ingrid. What is the December? What is that?
That
December.
Is it's a statewide Indian education. So Oklahoma Indian Education is having just a conference in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Logistics can be put on that. All the specialists are welcome to attend. So if that's something you want to put on your agenda and you feel like we could fit in for you, we'd be more than welcome to get that situated for where you can fly in and attend that conference.
Would there be a time during that conference where all these people, if they all go, the specialists can get together and share ideas and we can during that time?
Right. Yes. Yeah, we could either tail end into that second day, or replace certain parts of that second day or the first day, and just kind of plan around that, like a team meeting. That's something, honestly, I would prefer, just so Ingrid can meet all of us in person and kind of have that face-to-face dynamic. So we definitely are looking to fly up that way to Busby sometime early next year. I know Bernadette and I, we didn't land on a date, and Quentin and I have been talking about coming up too. And then I know Michael, we talked to Michael a little bit about that as well. And we want to do it next year, early next year. So we're looking at January or February. So I think it's just placing a tack on one date or two dates and figuring out, if we can make it work. So
I have a question, or I will have a. This is Ingrid about Bernadette.
Yes.
One of the things that I wanted to mention, and where we're Lame Deer is kind of a remote area from, it's a little bit different from the Oklahoma, because they're not reservations. And some reservations have more access to, they have access to more things like, Walmart and other types of resources, And so I grew up here, and I wanted to mention that I went on to school, but when I was in school in this area, I was really a quiet student, and it was a culture shock for me to leave the reservation and to go. In fact, I went into a Bible college setting, and that was even way more of a culture shock for me, because, you as an Indian student, you experience prejudice, you experience a lot of other ways of thinking that you're not familiar with, in the way you grow up, on an Indian reservation. And I think that, one of the things I really would like to see or promote is that these students don't forget where they come from.
Right.
I've met a lot of well-educated Native people, and the rest of the Southwest. I've traveled, and sometimes they become indoctrinated into, certain ways of thinking. Mm-hmm. And they can actually do damage in a community when they have that. And I really believe that our students need to have, or I don't know, this is just my way of, I don't know if, the rest of these guys think that way, but I just think they need to have like of where they come from, and not forget that that's educational too. It's just that it's what's going to bring them, because a lot of them want to go, and then they think, well, I'm going to go and I'm going to come back and help my community. But it can be real difficult when you have, I know I've gone through it, where you have education and you don't always get accepted because you're well educated, Mm-hmm. And so I think that having a pretty good foundation in terms of sovereignty, in terms of how can I, benefit, how is it going to benefit me to go to college? I think that is one of the real important things to share with these kids as well. How's it going to benefit me and my family? Because that's how they think, it might be short-term goals or that they're thinking, but I think it needs to relate. And I think part of that would be developing exposure and connections. Like there's local colleges here, Little Bighorn College, and just different, different ways of exposure, ensuring that they have exposure to those settings, because, so I mean, that would be my, I guess, contribution is to have like a foundational, where they're learning about who they are and the, like a sovereignty, of who they, what our Native American, I even believe Native American education is different. I mean, I've been in different places in public schools off the reservation, and so I think that would be important to develop that foundation for them too, somehow.
Yeah.
In the school here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's really good, and I wish you could have been at the table with us last week. You had some good ideas there. I went ahead and captured a couple of the questions that start the lesson in terms of questioning, and so I added here, why should I go to college? Why is this important to tribal sovereignty? On top of some of the other questions that they brought forth last week, question about benefits, what benefits will it have? So those are really good questions, and hopefully once you are able to read through it, then you can edit and tweak it to make it fit for the Northern Cheyenne there in Busby and Lame Deer. That'll be good. And just a little about me too, Ingrid. I know Julian sent out a little welcome, and I hadn't had a chance to respond, but I did grow up on the reservation in Lapway for the Nez Perce, and so I always remember where I came from, and it's like my brother actually lives there in Lame Deer too, so and his family. Hopefully, when I come, we can all meet up, and you'll get to meet them too.
Yeah. Yes.
Good.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Well, I appreciate it.
Go cut wood, Ingrid.
Thank you for that, Ingrid. Thank you for that, Bernadette. We're running a few minutes, 8 minutes left. So moving to 4E, Kevin Houchin, Steve Kapler, ACT or SK Consulting. 4F, Jerome Tosi with Native Innovations. 4E, Arash Hoda, Khan Academy Video Series Production.
He's not available, but I can give an update on that as well as a brief comment about the Kevin Houch and Steve Kapler update too, if you want, Julian, or if you want to proceed with the agenda, that's fine as well.
Well, please go ahead.
This is Michael again regarding Kevin Houchin, that's with ACT, and then Steve Kapler with SK Consulting. This is exciting work, and all the Indian education specialists should be aware of it because several are already working with customizing the Engage instrument. This is a unique opportunity for each tribal education department and their partner LEA to design items that speak to their needs, tailored to their community. At the same time, the project director and the executive director negotiated a relationship with someone from ACT, that's Steve Kapler, who was instrumental in producing publications that presented that were called Condition of College and Career Readiness in the Nation. And ACT put out a report specifically pertaining to American Indian Alaska Native. That relationship with SK Consulting will allow TEDNA and TEDNA NYCP 2015 to develop one of the most rigorous databases associated with college and career readiness in the nation. And in doing so, it provides access to data to provide comparable population that borders on being able to conduct some of the most rigorous kind of research and scholarship available. It's very exciting. We need to note that project director and executive director, Julian and Quentin, being instrumental in seeing that possible. At the same time, just kind of moving in, their work on Khan Academy is really quite breathtaking, and what they've been able to do so far is oversee the production of 5 demonstration videos of 2 Native youth who are expressing their experiences with gaining access to online and learning resources, in this case featuring Khan Academy. Those will they'll be forthcoming here real soon, and all the Indian education specialists will look at this because they're meant to inspire all of our Indian youth to produce their own videos that can be part of TEDNA YouTube domain, and articulating how you gain access to these phenomenal resources that are available online, because they satisfy 2 criteria. The first is that they're free. Second is that they are easily accessible. The third, and why I said just 2, the third is they actually help. So that's just around the corner, and that announcement should go out here pretty soon, Julian, and to make sure that once we get these out there, they're meant to be complemented and to inspire other Indian youth to do the very same thing as well.
Wonderful. Thank you for that, Michael.
Michael.
Yes.
This is Leverty. I have a question about the actual Khan Academy usage, because in the field, when we get our kids to log on, sometimes we come into the technical assistance need right off the bat. And I know that's stopping a lot of our classes from the discouragement of not being able to log on correctly or something wrong with their password. What number can our ed specs call right off, like right there in the classroom, to assist the children so that we can get them even into the system?
A reality check. Thank you, Leverty. You're always good like that. Bringing to light things that are intended to work but don't always work smoothly in our tribal communities. I think both Julian and I recorded that. Julian, please allow me to be of service and hunt that down, because that's unacceptable. The teachers and the classroom, the students, need to have access to immediate technical assistance to be able to utilize this. Julian, would you like me to follow up on that, please?
Please do. Yeah, that'd be great. I know that Leverty and I, we talked about this a little bit before and trying to figure out how to do this classroom setup. And, it's hard to narrow down a number. I think Leverty has tried and I have tried, but finding a number is a little difficult for them. Please do so, Michael. That'll help out greatly.
Yeah, and
please
it's nice
that
have a telephone. I mean, that you provide them with a cell phone in case there is a one in the class or after school or whatever, however they have it set up.
This is Ingrid. I worked with a program that's called Odyssey and some other teacher computer instructional programs. I know that I helped to teach with the Odyssey, and they had to have a 24/7 because there were so many glitches with their system. Sometimes it would go down, so there was always a number we would call because there's always glitches with computer-based instructional programs. And just, I guess I have questions about Khan. I don't know if it's the time to talk about them, but it looks like it's more, just from looking on the internet and reading about it, it's more based, looks for math, in terms of 6th through 9th grade. And then the science in that Khan is more geared towards 10th probably to 12th grade. So that would be what I'm looking at it more as from a teaching perspective probably, but I guess what I'm saying is, how are you looking at implementation? You're mentioning ACT, you're mentioning Khan, you're mentioning read write, and those are quite a few number of programs, computer-based programs, and usually they're small group. And I know some schools have implemented it. I've seen it, like one in New Mexico where they implemented Odyssey, but it wasn't working quite like it should. They're mostly meant for like a small group setting. And so I guess my question about Khan is, what subjects does it all pertain to? Is it just math and science?
Well, again, Julian, I'd like to offer some explanation. I know this is bumping up against the end of the thing, but it gives me a chance to both share some insights about this project in the context of what we're expected to do and how we're accessing resource partners. But I don't want to jump in too quick, Julian.
No, please.
You want to respond to that?
I'll just kind of preface it a little bit. With through our tools at ACT Aspire, ACT Engage, we were hoping to identify a series of students at risk amongst all of our communities, and especially those who show risk in mathematics, to really connect them to Khan Academy and really focus any student at risk for whatever subject it may be, have Khan Academy as a resource to take advantage of online resources out there on very particular student appropriate, grade appropriate based content, and really get them connected to it, and share the Khan Academy being that it's all video based. You can move at particular paces. You can pause it, rewind it, fast forward it. You can jump in the middle and work on certain things. We imagine, or at least I imagine, in terms of implementation, of course, identifying those students at risk and then getting them connected immediately to it. As far as, having an entire outline saying they need to complete these courses by this date, there's nothing like that I have intended to put on to each of the sites. But other than just saying that we do intend to use it because, as Michael mentioned before, it's free, it's online, and it's ultimately where education is going, considering that it is a digital platform. So, Michael, please, you can add to that.
Well, certainly. And for all of us, one of the things we want to be careful is to keep a manageable scope on this particular project. And we always need to be able to reference the proposal. For every new team member that comes on board, one of the first things that they want to read very closely is the proposal that got funded. This is what TEDNA promised the federal government that it would accomplish. In the context of this question that Ingrid puts out, we need to constantly ask ourselves, because it pertains and gives us a chance to reaffirm. So you need to pull out the proposal. And on page 10 of the proposal, you'll see the reference pertaining to Khan Academy. It is specifically oriented to just math. And although we can pull up Khan Academy and be attracted not only to science, there's actually a wide variety of resources that pertain to other subject areas, and including SAT preparation, that college boards work. That's the other big player in this game. But this program is specifically designed to address the needs of children in grades 6, 7, 8, and 9. And it's a cohort model, meaning that the first year was going to attend to the 6th grade, that they would incorporate another additional year in the 7th grade while bringing on the 6th grade. So it's always contextualized within the grade offerings. Ingrid, all the points that you made are valid, because despite what we put in a proposal, the reality check is just how does it work within our tribal community to serve our Indian youth. And those are the things we want to be able to discover and find out whether we need to make sure Khan Academy and all affirmation can work. It seems to be serving everybody else, but does it only mean that it serves people who have ready and accessible connections to the internet? How is it designed for group learning? How is it supposed to stimulate individual learning? Those are all questions that I want to sit down and talk with the Indian education specialists about as they implement these resources. So, but I think the real point here, Ingrid, is to make sure that anytime we ask ourselves a question, it's how does it pertain to what's mentioned in the proposal? And to be able to walk through that proposal very carefully and know that That's what sets the boundaries on this project. It's set up for success by having a manageable goal and 3 measurable, manageable objectives.
Exactly. I think those are the same questions I have. Is it measurable? Is it manageable? Because working with that Odyssey program, it wasn't meeting. There's certain standards in a school you need to meet. It was a science. They would do biology and different subjects, but it wasn't meeting the lab portion of the state requirements. And so
Right.
it had loopholes in there. And I am about making sure these students, because there's certain, for college readiness, you have to have certain standards, certain amount of labs, certain amount of, in each of these subject areas. And if you don't, and it's not on your transcript, they're not going to be considered for college. And so those are certain things I'm not sure that, all the education specialists know, but because I have my background in education, I do know that, and I've had some experience with other programs. So, I mean, if it's aligned with the standards, I think it would be good. But if it's not, there's certain, you have to look at that and say, well, is it just a supplement to what they're learning, or is it, going to meet the standards of, even if it is an alternative educational, offered as an alternative educational for students, it still needs to meet certain set of standards, And so that's just my question, I guess I had is, well, is there, what are the standards? Does it meet those standards, And, as teachers, we think that way. And right now it's put in the school system here. And even though I'm not really, so that's where my confusion comes in, I think, with that, with the Khan Academy.
Right on. No, and you bring up a very compelling point, and I want to mention to all those in attendance, and particularly emphasize it for the other Indian education specialists. What Ingrid's talking about is one of the things that's going to be reinforced in the evaluation reports that everybody will see soon. These standards have very specific guidelines, and they have very particular areas that they pertain to. For example, in the state of Montana, you have an English language proficiency, a CRT, alternative science, CRT in the area of Montana State Academic Standards and Assessment of English. Now, these are the ones we focus on because they pertain to the grade level that we're looking at. We don't have to look at high school, which would include the writing and other subject areas, but we may want to be able to attend to those. For those in the state of Oklahoma, you want to be very familiar with the Oklahoma academic standards as they're being assessed at implied grades 3 through 8. They have very specific guidelines, and this is something that I'm emphasizing. I thank Leverty for making me aware that this is what Northern Cheyenne Travel Schools attends to, and it's what BIE does in terms of wanting to advance it. They follow whatever is being done within a particular state. For the state of Montana, those academic standards follow the Common Core. In the state of Oklahoma, at one point, Oklahoma followed the Common Core, but they don't anymore. They've got their own standards that they pertain to. These are unique. They're one of the few states in the nation that doesn't follow either PERC or the Common Core. Those are the two big assessments in the state, in the nation. It's a great conversation, Ingrid. I look forward to continuing it with you and the other Indian education specialists and everybody within TEDNA NYCP 2015, because the elevated sophistication associated with this dialogue will set it apart from all the other NYCP programs in the nation.
Awesome.
Julian.
Awesome. Great. Well, then, thank you for those questions, Ingrid. Next Thursday, I sent you an email. I'm getting all the specialists together. We're just going to have our specialist call. So please continue to, collect your questions, keep things in mind, annotate whatever you need to annotate, and together we'll go over those things. And you'll get to hear from Tashina and Anita, and Jeff is new. So Jeff's is pretty much in the same boat as you. So keep that in mind. Next Thursday, we'll have that specialist call. Just look at your email and Going back to the agenda real quick, 4H, Matt Campbell, Native American Rights Fund. Okay, 4I, Matt Higdon, Oklahoma State Regents for Higher Education. 4J, yes, present, not listed. Anybody who is not listed would like to comment? Okay, I don't think Quentin joined us, so...
I'm here. I'm here.
Okay. Final thoughts?
Sure. I was on and off and probably joined the last 30 minutes of the conversation. A lot of good questions. I'm not going to mention some of the things that you already said in depth. So real quickly, I did send the call to conference out for the OC conference. If you at least see the dates and see what's involved in that, and also note to Julian, you need to go ahead and put in the workshop presentation form also. We're going to do one for NYCP, and also we're going to do one for TEDNA for the consultations from TEDS. I know Julian mentioned getting the state grantees who've been funded for the NYCP program, both the first year and the second year grantees together someplace in Oklahoma City. Hopefully that'll take place in December. Create a partnership. Also, in January, we're hoping to get everybody together, the tribal partners, the resource partners, everybody involved to come to Oklahoma City. And Julian should be giving you information as soon as that's decided. And that we'll fly you in, the specialist and also the TED director to come in, and also the and I'm thinking we'll probably have sessions just for the specialists and sessions just for the TED directors. They'll be split it up a couple of times during the meeting. Also, the video is officially going to be released at that meeting in January. The video that was talked about by Ross, I think it's a very good progress so far. Also, at the meeting in January, we're going to roll out the introduction to TCR specialists. Each of the 4 specialists in the proposal are called education specialists, but that's just kind of a general term that can mean anything. And so what we're going to do is Michael, Julia, and I, part of that meeting, we're going to roll out, we're going to change your titles to college career readiness specialists. And so be looking forward to that. Also, I have met the recruiters from Haskell Indian Nations University in Mississippi. They were at a New Mexico Education Summit, and they both agreed to be on a webcast to talk to some of your students. We can do that by site. We just need to work with Julian, work with them, set up some times. And I told them it's not just to recruit students to their skill. It's to actually talk to middle school students about what it takes to get prepared to go to school. So I'm looking forward to that. Also, Julian, we do need to make contact with the OU teacher education program again. It's a long-term effort, but we like to start working toward a grow your own teacher education program, which tribes would be the centerpiece of that effort. And then work to be done for myself. Orally, verbally, we have established partnerships with ACES, Unity, and the Center for Native American Youth. And we will be talking about the partnership with College Board later on. So, in reference to the education specialist, we probably need to be visiting your MOU that TEDNA has had with each of the TEDs. So sometime in the next month or two, certainly before January, we need to look at that and revisit that and change it if we need to. So that being said, I wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving and eat all the turkey you want. So thank you.
Well, thank you for that, Quentin. All right, people, we're sitting at item 4, adjournment. Our next standing core meeting will be December 7th, same time. 11 o'clock Central Saving CST. And I appreciate everybody for joining. Safe travels back home if you're traveling, and happy holidays, happy Thanksgiving. Thank you.
Thank you, Julian.
Julian?
Yes, ma'am.
Julian?